Hi, Max. I hope you had a great afternoon. Here's your bedtime story for tonight. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, in a magical land called Hufflepump, there lived a troll who lived under a bridge a lot like the one behind me. And anyone who crossed over that bridge had to give payment to the troll. And the troll would take all sorts of goodies. He would take jewels for payment. He would take corn, watermelon, all sorts of yummy things to eat. And he also would take just about anything that somebody had made. Well, one day, a magic fairy was crossing over the bridge. And again, it's a bridge just like this one. And as the magic fairy was crossing about halfway over, the troll came thump, thump, thumping out, and he said, "Hey, where's my payment? This is my bridge." And the fairy looked around and she said, This one right here? This is your bridge?" And he said, "Yeah, I own it. I live under it, and you have to pay me to cross over it." And the fairy said, All right, well, what do you take for payment? Do you take flowers?" And she lifted up a big bunch of beautiful pink and white and orange flowers. And the troll said, "I don't take flowers. What can I do with flowers? I don't want flowers. They're pretty, but they don't last very long." The magic fairy said, Well, the only other thing that I have is this magic egg." And the troll looked very interesting and said, "Magic egg? I think that's a good payment. Do you think that's a good payment, Max?" I think so too. So the troll took the egg and he crawled back underneath of the bridge, and the fairy went on her way, off to do fairy business in Magic Fairy Gardens, in Magic Fairy Land. Well, the troll looked at the egg and he said, "This is supposed to be magic. I wonder what it does." And he shook it a little bit and he said, "Well, I don't hear anything inside." He sniffed it. He said, "It doesn't really smell like anything. Maybe I'm supposed to eat it." Was he supposed to eat it? He wasn't supposed to eat it. Well, he wasn't sure what he was supposed to do with it, so he sat it right next to his bed, and he decided to go to sleep for the night. He laid down and he closed his eyes. Pretty soon he made a great big... He was a big snorer. So he snored and he snored, and then partway through the night, he heard a crack, crack, crack. Hatch, hatch, hatch. And he looked over and he said, "Is that the egg? Is that the egg hatching and cracking?" Sure enough, it was. That egg was hatching and that egg was cracking open. Did I mention that it was a sparkly color? Kind of a sparkly silver color with a little bit of rainbow in it. So it looked very magical. And suddenly it went crack, crack, crack. Hatch, hatch, hatch. And a little piece of shell fell away. And then another little piece of shell fell away. And then another one fell away. And out popped a magical gnome. And the gnome looked at the troll. And the troll looked at the gnome. And the gnome had great, big, tall hair. Pink. With one little stripe of blue. And the gnome looked at the troll and he said, "Mama?" He thought the troll was his mommy. And the troll said, No, I thought you were a magic egg. I didn't know a gnome was going to come out." And the gnome looked at him and said, "Mama?" And the troll said, "Oh my goodness, now what do? I have this gnome. I don't know who it belongs to." Well, he gave him some gnome food. Gnomes really like strawberries with cream. So he gave him some strawberries with cream that he happened to have. And he waited under the bridge and he kind of didn't know what to do. He took care of the little gnome, but he said, "Well, do you know where you're supposed to go?" And the gnome said, He said, "Well, do you know how the fairy found you?" He goes, "I don't know that either." So they lived there for a little while, maybe 2 weeks together, when all of a sudden the troll heard thump, thump, thump on his bridge. And he ran up to the top of the bridge and he said, "Hey, what do you have for payment for?" And he stopped and he looked, and it was a gnome crossing the bridge. In fact, it was 2 gnomes crossing the bridge. One had blue hair and one had pink hair. And he said, "You're gnomes." And they said, "Yes, we've been searching everywhere. We lost our egg, and we don't know where to look for it. We looked all the places we thought it would be, but we remember going to this party with fairies, and all of a sudden the egg was lost." And the troll said, "You know, instead of giving me payment to go over the bridge, I'll give you payment for coming over the bridge." And the gnomes were kind of confused. And the troll ran underneath of his bridge. Remember, it looked kind of like the one right behind me. And he came up with the little baby gnome with pink hair and a little blue stripe, and he said, "Do you think this is your little baby? I got a magical egg from a fairy who was crossing over the other day." And the gnomes looked at each other, and they looked at the little baby gnome, and they said, "Yes, that's our baby. That's our baby. His name is Sparkle Toes." And Sparkle Toes looked at the two gnomes, and he said, "Mama, Dada." And sure enough, it was his mommy and his daddy. Well, it turned out the egg was magical after all, because gnomes do give magic out to those who help them. So in return for the troll helping the two gnomes find their little baby gnome, they gave him a cup that filled up with apple juice every single day. He could drink it every morning, and it would fill up with apple juice every evening. The end. Good night, Max. I love you lots and lots and lots. I'll have another story for you tomorrow. Night, night.